What you are about to watch is one part of a series recorded by well-respected psychic medium Anthony Grzelka, Australia's Ghost Whisperer. The opinions and views expressed throughout this series are based on Anthony's own personal beliefs. The basis of these beliefs has been developed through the 12,000 plus connections he has made with the spirit world.
Well, you know, what happens when you die at the point of death is a great question, and it's something that obviously we're all intrigued about, and we need to know a little bit about it. I mean, death is still the big mystery. It's probably the last frontier, you know. We understand our life and what happens, but when you die, that's a real big question. You know, what happens at that point when you stop breathing and the brain function stops, okay? I like to use a couple of different analogies when I'm talking about what happens when you die. And one of the things I like to use is what I call the ice cream cake. And I know people looking at me might be thinking, well, he does like his ice cream, and you're dead right, I do. I like to use this analogy. So if we look at the chocolate layer, we look at a vanilla layer, and we look at a strawberry layer, okay? Right now, we're all working through the chocolate, okay? So we're all in this physical world, we're working through the chocolate layer. When we die, we actually have to go through a change of frequency, a change of vibration that'll take us from the chocolate into the vanilla. Now that change of frequency, it is a very simple thing. It is just a switching from one radio station to another. So for instance, let me give you an example. Let's say you're listening to 92.9 FM on your radio station. That doesn't mean that 96 FM doesn't exist. It just means you're not tuned into that frequency. So when you die, you move from 92.9 FM to 96 FM. You move into a higher frequency, a much faster frequency. Generally, once a spirit takes their last breath, or a physical person takes their last breath, and they move from the chocolate into the vanilla, 12 to 14 days after that event, so after somebody dies, they are generally very present spiritually. And you must remember that when you die, you're still a very physical person. You're not yet a spiritual person. You know, you're not yet that soul, that spirit that's made the full transition. You're still in that vanilla area. So you'll find there's generally a lot of spiritual activity 12 to 14 days after someone passes. Now, it's important to remember that soon after death, we're still we're still thinking very physically, okay, not spiritually. Because when you die, there'll be family and friends there. Generally, there'll be a lot of people there ready to gather and to meet you. Pets, dogs, cats, you know, animals, people that you were close to will generally be there. In fact, if you have a passing that is over a period of time, for instance, a cancer passing, or you're in a coma for a period of time, often your family are there a long time before you draw your last breath, and they'll bring you across. And you get into this area which I call the vanilla area. Now, something extraordinary happens in this vanilla area. Your friends and family are there to help you, and they encourage you to come across. But you have to let go of what you are as a physical person in the vanilla. And that's really important. It's like emptying your pockets of all of your physical experiences. So for instance, I'll give you an example. At that point of death, when you get into that vanilla and your mum and dad are coming across and saying, come across, you know, we'll look after you here, it's all okay. And you hear of these near-death experiences when you go through towards the light and all this type of thing. Well, it's at that point when you generally do a life review. And your life, if you've ever heard of the old analogy where your life flashes in front of your eyes, what happens is during this life review, you stop at different points. So you might be flashing through your life and boom, you'll stop. And you'll have to look at an area of your life that was important. For instance, if you were particularly nasty to someone or mean to somebody, and let's say you called someone a fat tart, for instance, something like that, you would stop at that moment and you'd have to relive that experience. So the moment you called that person that nasty name or upset that person, you have to live that experience again. And you have to actually live what they lived. You have to feel the pain that you caused that person. You have to go through that whole experience. And it's important to do that so you understand the good things and the bad things you did here. So you'll have that experience, then your life will zip along and you'll stop at another point. But this point might be where you helped an old lady across the road, or you said something or did something really nice for somebody. So you don't only experience the bad things, but you experience the good things that you've done for people as well, and you experience the connection or how you made that person feel as well. So it's not just the good and the bad things, it's everything about your life you actually get involved with and you see, okay? That whole process is very fast, by the way. It's very quick. Some people it takes longer than others, but most of the time it's very fast and it's over and done with. It doesn't take years to do. It's usually very, very quick. I can also just tell you that we have an understanding of heaven, and we think about heaven as being maybe a religious heaven that we're taught to believe, or some people believe in hell. I have to tell you here and right now, people watching this, there is no heaven and there is no hell. There is a place that we all go to. Whether you are the baddest person in the world or whether you are a Mother Teresa and you're the best person in the world, we all go to the same place. Our experience when we get there is different, depending on how we've lived our life and how the vanilla affects us and what we do in the vanilla. But really, we all go to the same place, and we all have the same experience when we get there based on what our life is like. Some people often ask me too, is there a point where you can get stuck? Because obviously we want to move out of the vanilla and we want to go into the strawberry, because the strawberry area is the true physical, or the true spiritual existence, I should say. And there are some people that it does take a lot longer to move through the vanilla. It takes a lot longer to move through our life experience. And that's particularly from people who perhaps don't understand what's happened to them when they die. What can happen is this. If you were a very religious person, for instance, and you believed in heaven and you believe in hell and you believe that you can sin, what happens is sometimes when you do your life review, you'll look at those points and you'll go, oh my gosh, I've sinned. I've done something wrong here. I've done something wrong here. I've done something wrong there. And you get caught in this idea, because you have to understand at this point, you are still thinking like a physical being, okay? You're not yet thinking like a spirit. And you might think, oh my gosh, I'm going to hell, because that's what you believe. That's what you believe the process is going to hold for you. And you refuse to go any further. You stop there. Even though your friends and family might be saying, it's okay, come with us, we'll look after you. You might go, I know what's waiting for me. There's a man with a pitchfork, and fiery brimstone, and you refuse to go any further. So you get stuck in this vanilla area. And that's where we can actually get ghosts and people who haunt locations and things like that, because they get stuck in this vanilla. It is very, very rare, okay? People watching this are now going to be starting to think, oh my God, is my grandmother, did she make it across? Is my grandfather actually in the strawberry, or is he stuck in the vanilla? 99.9% of the spirits that pass make it across without any problems at all. So don't fear for your grandmother, your mums, your dads, your brothers, your sisters. 99% of them are going to make it across without any problems. It's very rare that they get stuck, but it does happen occasionally. Finally, there is a story I'd like to relate to everybody, and it was an amazing reading that I gave for a lady called Teresa. And it was over the phone, and I was sitting doing this reading over the phone, and Teresa and three of her sisters were all sitting around their mum's bedside in a hospital, and her mum was passing. And when I say her mum was passing, she was passing as I was doing the reading. She was leaving this lifetime. And it was the most amazing experience, because I was actually able to connect to Teresa's mother as she was leaving this life. That is the most remarkable thing you can do, because I could actually see who was waiting for her mum. Her mum was able to relate the experience of what was happening to her at the time that she passed. The other thing that was really amazing is she gave me the exact timing of her passing. She was able to tell her family that she would pass at 2:30 the following evening. And she did. The following morning at 2:30 she passed, to the moment. And it was a really amazing experience, because I could see her leaving her body and crossing over into the vanilla, and seeing her family there and the people that were there waiting for her as it actually happened, live as it was going on actually. So it was quite an amazing thing to see and experience. But it showed me the process of what happens when you die, and the process of leaving this life and moving into that vanilla area.
To watch more in this series, or for further information on Anthony, his books, meditation CDs, workshops, ghost tours, or to book a private reading, please visit whispersfrombeyond.com.au.